Hey, Sir Marks, I wanted to send you this little video because I'm aware that Sunday morning communication is crazy sometimes and fast-paced and doesn't cover all of the bases. So I wanted to send you this to let you know how St. Mark's is going to look like what it's going to look like over the next few weeks and months, how we might be able to flourish together as disciples, and to answer a few of the questions about some of the things that we're doing that at the moment, because of the speed Sunday mornings go, may not be clear. Right at the start of our St. Mark's journey, we spent a little while looking at a letter in the Bible called the letter to the Ephesians. It's written by a guy called Paul, and he writes it to a church, a young church, which is why we studied it, in a city called Ephesus. You can still go to Ephesus if you want to. And when he writes it, he's under house arrest. And so he's sat in the same four walls day after day after day, and he is writing to a church to encourage them. And so maybe a little bit like you, he only has around him the things that he can see immediately in his vicinity as any kind of springboard to bounce from. And so he sees this Roman soldier who's guarding him. And it's that he uses as the motivation and the kind of the metaphor for what he wants to write. And so he writes to the people who are going to receive this letter, and he says, look, put on, and then he lists a whole bunch of the things that a Roman soldier would wear, only he kind of flips them around a little bit. So instead of the sword that the Roman soldier would use to slay people and use as a weapon, he says, well, look, if you've got a weapon, then it's truth. You use that. If that's going to be a thing that we're known for, if that's going to be a destructive thing of ours, then let it be truth. And so he kind of flips around this soldier's clothes and implements, and he says, look, put these on. And the whole point he says that is to do this. This is the climax of the letter. So that on the day of trial, when the day of trial comes, you might be able to stand. Because Paul knew that a tough day would come. Paul knew that whether it's finances or a relationship or family or job or health or whatever, a day of trial is going to come. And so he wanted to create in this young church in Ephesus the ability to create a life, to build a life, and to develop a faith which would not crumble on a day of trial. So we find ourselves in a day of trial, and let's be honest, the sun isn't going to set on this day of trial for a little while. And so the way we do church together is going to be different for several months, I think. And so we're changing some things, but I'm really excited about the opportunity and the gift in this moment. And the reason I'm excited about this is because this is, I think, how the church was always meant to be. Before people like me got our grubby mitts on it and made sure that we were at the front of stuff and really important, it was always supposed to be based in homes. And the whole point was that God wasn't hidden behind a curtain or a brick wall in a temple anymore. He was present wherever you were, and he didn't reside in some holy building on the other side of the city. He resides in you and around you by the presence of his Spirit. And so that's exciting. And he doesn't just call professionals to follow him. He calls you as much as he calls me or anybody else to follow him, and that there is no hierarchy within the thing. And so this is an exciting moment for me. The whole thing that I would love, more than I would love to build up St. Mark's, more than I would love to have exciting ministries that come out of us, more than I would love us to be known and have a reputation in the city for kindness or any of that, the thing that I care most about is you flourishing as a disciple of Jesus. That's the whole ball game. Somebody asked Jesus about it once, and he says, look, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind. And then, second, love your neighbor as third, you love yourself. Love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. That's all it is, says Jesus. Everything else you can hang on those things. And so growing as a disciple of Jesus is the thing I care most about. Now, there's a recipe for growing as a disciple. We've talked about it before, and we've kind of modeled it in different ways. It's actually dead easy. It's not all that sexy, and sometimes we wish it were, but it's really easy, and it's really reachable, and it's really attainable, and that's the beauty of it. It starts off with this. It starts with me and you daily carving out some time to focus our attention, our inspiration, our motivation, our energy, our prayer on Jesus. To become aware of his presence, to growing our understanding of his character. One of the easiest ways to do that is through reading the Bible. It's not the only way, but it's a really easy way. Spending some time listening to him and bringing to him things, people, burdens that we carry on our own shoulders. And daily doing that, building up a rhythm of spending time with Jesus. There's nothing more transformational than that. It's a hard thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do, and building that rhythm is difficult. And if you watch on the YouTube channel there's a little clip. It's called Jogging, episode 7, and explains why that's hard. It's a hard thing to do, but it's so worthwhile. So to make it a little bit easier, we've produced these daily bread. There's a reason in the prayer that we pray every week that Jesus taught us. He says, give us my daily bread, because it's supposed to be just like the French go and get their baguettes. It's supposed to be something that we go back for day after day after day. The psalmist writes, if I got too much of it, then I wouldn't ever need to go back to God. If I got too little of it, then I'd blame him for stuff and be angry. So I just need to go each day and get enough. And that's the point. We just go each day and say, here I am again, Lord. What do you want to say to me again today? Who do you want to remind me of today? How could I be a blessing of others today? These are the things I need from you today. And so we're going to either drop these through your letterbox or post them to you. If you think that I don't know where you live, then you're probably right. So buzz me back your address and I'll get one to you, and we'll stick a version online as well that you can download. In it, there's a prayer for the morning and for the evening for each age group, for preschoolers, for primaries, for secondaries, for adults. And the whole idea is this, that it helps us build a trellis. It helps us build some scaffolding on which we can build a life of peace and a life of grace. So I want to encourage you, dive into that. If you've already got your own rhythm, then stick with it. It's not important that you do our rhythm. The second thing is this, that we're able to find some people, maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5 others, that we gather around a table with regularly, that cheer us on, that encourage us, that spur us on in low moments, that mourn with us in grief moments, that celebrate us with us in joy moments, who together we sit round and we dive into the Word of God, that we dive into the life of God, that we dive into each other's lives that we live in, that we get to know the names of each other's family, that we get to know the dreams and the ambitions and what makes each other kick, and we encourage each other. Some of the most precious friendships I have in my life are people that, whether formal or informal, I've been in a small group with. Some which were kind of, maybe you've been in one in a church-based scenario and you've met every Thursday night or something. Some that were just a couple of mates who I just said, look, in fact, me and my mate Steve, for a whole year, we each Monday we fasted. We were working for 2 different organisations. We fasted from food during the day, and then at lunchtime we would meet up and we would just pray with each other, for each other. That was one of the most profound years of my life, and because of that year, I'm here and St. Mark's exists. So we want to start these things called Zoom rooms, because we can't meet around actual tables at the moment, where perhaps 4, 5 or 6, I think 6 is probably the max that Zoom can take comfortably and allow lots of interaction. 4, 5 or 6 people gather each week and commit to sharing life with one another. Commit to turning up at that particular time, having watched the 10 minutes of teaching on YouTube, which will give some direction to our discussion, who commit to caring for each other, carrying one another's burdens, praying for one another, remembering throughout the week, oh, hey, I wonder how they're doing, let me drop them a text. Who commit to sharing the bits that they know and listening to the bits that others know. Who commit to being humble enough in moments of weakness to say, hey, I need help. And who commit to being generous enough in moments of strength to be able to give hope and help to others. So Zoom rooms is our thing at the moment because we can't meet around actual tables. So on the website, there are some links to a few different Zoom rooms which people have said that they are happy to host at those times. So click on one of those links and let's try and be adults about it and see how we can administer this. If there's 4 or 5 people that turn up, great. That's your group. They're your people. Get to know them and love them. And they might not be people that you would ordinarily think, oh, great, these are my favourite 5 people in the world. But I promise you, if you trust one another and journey with one another, it's going to be good stuff. If you turn up and there's 15 of you there, split into 3 new groups of 5 each, and it's not a personal thing. If I'm hosting a group at 3 a.m. on a Thursday morning and nobody turns up, I'm not going to take it personally. I'm going to assume nobody else is free. If you're watching this and you're thinking, those are the ones on the website, I'm not free at any of those times. Well, start your own one. You can start a Zoom room dead easy. If you've got 2 or 3 other people, boom, you're off. You can ask for my help if you want, and we can ask others in the church. Maybe you're watching this and thinking, I don't go to St. Mark's regularly, I've only just joined, or actually I live somewhere else, but I've got 2 or 3 other people that I'd like to do this with. Well then, yes, you can. Just watch the stuff on YouTube, and when you gather together on Zoom or WhatsApp or FaceTime or whatever, spend no more than an hour, because it tops out at that, just encouraging each other, asking what you're learning at the moment, asking how the Lord is speaking to you, asking what He's directing you towards, and cheering each other on. So there's some Zoom rooms at the moment. You can go on if you go on the main page of the website, so marksmk.com, you'll be able to navigate to it from there. There are 2 on Monday, starting tomorrow. There are 2 on Wednesday. There is 1 at the moment on Thursday. We will add some if we need to, and it may be that some of those that we currently think will work won't work because nobody else is free at that time, and we'll change it. If you think of something that would make it better, then let me know, because this is new territory for all of us. I know some of us don't have a whole heap of time, it feels like, during the days at the moment. So if you're worried that this is another thing and you've already got another 6 Zooms in the week, then figure it out how is healthy and beneficial for you, and do whatever is going to build your faith. If the lads' lunch or the ladies' lunch turns into this Zoom room, then great. If you need to duck out of that and join in another small group, then that's okay too. There's no guilt in any of those decisions. Remember, the whole point is that you flourish as a disciple and grow closer and more like Jesus. And that is what excites me. Because here's the point. If all of us spend more time hanging out with the Spirit of God, listening to his voice, asking what he would have us do, listening to him and having the faithful obedience to take some bold steps, to bless some others, to love some others, to listen to his call to creatively love people across the city, then all bets are off as to what happens from that. I guarantee that from that moment, if we get into it, that your life will change as you develop in peace and grace and joy and a profundity of faith which surpasses anything you know at the moment. I guarantee that. I also guarantee it'll be difficult, and that you'll have this little whisper in your ear that says, well, this isn't working, on a day when you read a Bible passage and don't understand or like any of it. Push on through that moment. I also guarantee that when we get round a table with people, even if it's on Zoom, and we start to love them and to pray for them and to hold them in our hearts, that we will grow fonder and closer to those people, and we will develop a bond with those people which is deep and profound in a whole load of beautiful ways. And I also guarantee that as we spend more time listening to the Spirit of God, that more things will be birthed in you and around our little village as we serve others and find creative ways to display hope. If you think of other things that would be helpful, please let me know. If you've got questions, please come back to me. Here's one other thing I'd really love that would be helpful in the administration of this. If you look at the times that the Zoom rooms are on and you think, yep, that's the one for me. That's the time that works best for me or for my family. Could you just buzz me back a WhatsApp or an email or something to let me know, and then I have some kind of idea as to whether we're filling up a load of rooms and need to put some more on, or whether we've got way too many as it is. That would be really, really helpful. Thank you to those of you who've already agreed to host some rooms. And if you're thinking, yeah, I'd like to do that actually, and I've got some people that would join it, let me know. And the answer is yes. There's no limit to how many Zoom rooms we could have all across the country or the world. If you've got friends around the world, then go for it. You can build each other's faith. Gang, thank you for being a fantastic church to be part of. Thank you for being a village which I really enjoy hanging around in. Thank you for your grace in jumping into some of the madness and your ability to cheer each other on even when you're not feeling great tip-top yourself. Well done on getting through this so far. Let's not make any bones about it. This is a day of trial. There's no way this is supposed to be easy. Everything that we've done for our lives up to this point has just got turned upside down on its head. And the grief that we feel inside because it doesn't feel like we're going to get back to it anytime soon or ever is real and true. And so don't shy away from that, and have the courage in your Zoom rooms and in your pairs or triplets or whatever in those rooms to be able to share that and to hold one another, and not to try and fix it, but to be able to ask Jesus, okay, in this moment, what is it that you would want to say to us? In the meantime, keep going, keep your eyes fixed on the one who called you, and expect him to do great things.